films, but that's because that's part of who I am in the background. You know, I remember a story which when I think back on it now, it really does inform a lot, which is my grandfather had an old Model A, not a Model T, but a Model A Ford in the garage, and it was not functioning. And I asked him, through my father who translated, because he didn't speak English, even to the day he died, he didn't speak a word of it, really. I said, why do you have a car that you can't drive? It just sits in the garage here in this, in the alleyway. And he answered my father, he said, because you never know when they'll come for you. Which I thought, that's horrible. I'm 9. What are you talking about? But I remember the story now, and that thread, really, dare I say, using a dirty word, of tragedy, does wind up getting through to you as a kid. And I think it's in the films. Sometimes even when I try to hide it. When I made Two Lovers, I was trying, Joaquin and I thought, let's make a comedy. And the two of us shot the movie, and we were just laughing. I just thought, this is hilarious. And I never forget, first screening of the film, when I cut it together for a group of about 25 friends of ours, and we thought, this is hilarious, this movie. And the lights came up, and a friend of mine came to me and said, that is the saddest movie I've ever seen in my life. I thought, I am so untalented with comedy. I think it has to do with that kind of feeling in the house, that thread. Maybe it's being Jewish, I don't know. I think it's more Russian, actually, than Jewish, to be honest with you. Because I got friends from Israel, they're having a party every 5 seconds. So I think it has to do with Russian. Because you read Anna Karenina, that's an 800-page book with no jokes. Not a joke in the book. Oh, Apocalypse Now, did I see Apocalypse Now? I have not seen the new cut. I've had some chances. But this got finished a week and a half before Venice. And I kept missing the chance. I'm going to go see it, of course. But he has that French plantation in it, right? Put it back in.
Yes.
Why, he's got to leave that out, doesn't he?
I hope not.
I hate that scene. Okay. Rest of the movie's the greatest thing ever. Well, I don't know. What do I know? Maybe it's great in this new one. I don't know.
All right. Si vous avez le micro?
Yeah, that's me. Hi.
Ok. Ensuite, il y a une question là.
Okay. I'm here.
She's over there.
Hi.
Hi,
Thank you so much for the movie. It's actually, I had a great time, and it was very moving. And also, I wanted to go back to religion, but more the religion of the characters in the movie. How do you explain that all the astronauts, and especially MacBird's father, have what appears to be a very strong relationship to religion and God, and Brad Pitt's character, he doesn't even mention it. So what do you think is his relationship with religion and God?
That's pretty good. Well, the constant talk of God, that if you look at the 12 astronauts that went to the moon, there's apparently a very different psychological state. There's astronauts on the International Space Station, the shuttle. It's about 200 miles into space. Of course, the moon is 250,000 miles away. So when you are on the surface of the moon and you see the Earth in the sky as a separate celestial body, it apparently has a much bigger psychological effect. And if you were to track the stories of the 12 white male astronauts, you would know that a lot of them became like born-again ministers, like Charlie Duke, became very obsessed with the idea of God. They speak of God constantly. It's maybe a way of explaining this frankly horrifying view they probably had of the Earth. I mean, that's probably horrifying. I mean, they're walking around like, I'm strolling on the Earth here, on the moon here, Houston, and it's real cool. The dirt is amazing. But Neil Armstrong went to his farm in Lebanon, Ohio, and you basically never heard from him again. Buzz Aldrin became basically an addict. Edgar Mitchell started talking about aliens and totally lost it. Like I said, Charlie Duke became born-again Christian minister, and Dave Scott. You could go on and on with these guys. And I thought that the constant mentioning of God was because when they started to see the earth as this tiny thing in the sky, they had to have something to explain what went wrong with them. Now, of course, I think of God. I feel his presence so close. I mean, that's literally like a quote from an astronaut, you know. So it was my way of saying that was their immediate way of dealing with the psychological dislocation. As for Roy, I think the guy's probably, in the beginning anyway, he's so damn repressed and so in denial. I don't think he thinks of God at all. I think he's probably one of those guys who thinks like, my lunch had too many carbohydrates in it. You know what I mean? Like a totally practical, pragmatic person. Because I met a bunch of astronauts for the movie. And it's like, it's the most functional, like, today it's our job to make sure the vents on the ISS are functioning and that there is not any interference with, you know what I mean? There's such a pragmatic, practical, functioning side to them. And I don't think Roy had spent much time. In fact, he says, I haven't been to the moon in forever. I don't think he has that kind of relationship with deeper space. So he's probably not as religious as his dad is for that reason.
Question là-bas.
Hello. Congratulations for the movie. Hello.
Oh, there you
Here.
are. Hello. Hello.
You said earlier that you chose Brad Pitt because you wanted to deconstruct the male figure, the American male hero. Your entire movie is deconstructing actually the hero's journey and putting him in hell, showing that he has so many weaknesses before solving actually the problem. Why did you choose to show that a hero actually is not that heroic?
All you have is heroes that are heroic now. That's the norm. Every superhero movie, everybody's heroic. They're flying through buildings and everything's crashing and blowing up and everybody's saving everybody. Nobody has a flaw. Everybody's perfect. They're wearing a suit that's made of metal or whatever, flying around. Those movies, superhero movies, have a point, they have a function, and the Avengers, I saw it with my son, it was very entertaining. But that's every movie now. So I was trying to do something different. I was trying to say that we're flawed, we make mistakes, that, you know, I'll tell you a brief story. There's a wonderful memoir by a fantastic nonfiction essay guy named Paul Fussell. He's dead now, he just died. He was quite old. Anyway, it's called Doing Battle, The Making of a Skeptic. I just read it, it was really great. It was about his time in the European theater in World War II. And he tells a very interesting story about being a hero. He was in the brush, somewhere actually in France, I think, right after D-Day. And he was in this wooded area. And he was with his friend. And his friend said, I've got to go to the bathroom. I got to go to the bathroom. And he said, just hang out there. He said, I got to go to the bathroom. He said, fine, go to the bathroom. So he wanders off. A minute goes by, 2 minutes go by, 5 minutes go by. And he starts to feel that something is very wrong. And he stands up. And he sees 3 soldiers having a cigarette. And he waves. He waves to them. And they look at him like he's an idiot. They look at each other. And when they turn to look at each other, he sees the German helmet. And he kills them all. They had killed his friend a few minutes earlier. He became a hero. It was an accident. His heroism was an accident. We like to consider heroes, we like to consider that idea as a perfect thing. That we're going to go out there and act in the right way and we're going to be successful in life. But fate has a very powerful draw, you know, and sometimes we don't do the right thing, and sometimes we make terrible mistakes, and sometimes our actions, however well intended, lead to terrible consequence. To me, that seems more like life. Superheroes are fine, but that's not how I perceive the world. And maybe I'm wrong, but somebody's got to try to do it, right? If everybody's always succeeding at everything in movies, it doesn't really feel very much like I can relate to that. I'm always making mistakes.
I'm afraid our time is up, but I have a last question. What's your next project?
Well, it's not a movie. I'm doing Marriage of Figaro for the Theatre de Champs-Élysées, which I start next month. My first opera, which is, that's very frightening. I don't really know what I'm doing, which is really, I said to the guy who wrote, Michel Franck is the guy who asked me, he's the nicest guy ever. And 5 years ago, he met with me. He came to LA. He said, let me take you to dinner. I will take you to dinner and I will convince you have to do an opera. I said, I don't know what I'm doing. He said, Marriage of Figaro. I said, no, that's not my favorite Mozart. I like Don Giovanni. He said, good. What about theater? I've never done anything for theater. Good. I've never done opera. Good. I don't want to do it. Yes, okay, good, you do it. So I said no. I went home, and my wife said, what do you, we'll be in Paris, that's the greatest city, and it'll be great, the whole family will come, and, you'll get this great life experience. I kind of thought about it, I said, well, I don't really know what I'm doing. She says, well, you'll learn, you love opera, we love opera, we go all the time. I said, I know, I sit in the opera, I love it, doesn't mean I can do it. She says, no, you can do it, I know you can. And now it's 5 years later, and it's coming up now, and I kind of thought I'd be dead by now. And my wife can't come with the kids, so I'm now all of a sudden this dream she had where she was going to be walking, the Rue de Rivoli, and she's going to have an incredible time. And I'm going to be sitting by myself going, can you sing there in the corner? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I have talked to some directors who have done it, for film. I've talked to Bill Friedkin, who's done several operas, and he was great, very helpful. I talked to Sofia Coppola, who did one in Italy a year ago, and she basically just said, like, no different from a movie, which I can't believe. I just cannot believe it, because in movies I'm going, camera's here, and there ain't no camera in the opera. So right there I'm lost. But that's what I'm doing, and I'm sure it'll be just really special, interesting, unique.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Merci Jennifer et merci au producteur du Région de nous avoir passé le film pour ce soir. Merci.